and welcome to Wisdom Women, the podcast where we meet empowered women and uncover the stories that shaped them. We dive into the role models who lifted them up, the moments that tested them, and what empowerment truly means and what it doesn't. From burlesque dancers turned breathwork facilitators to moms who moonlight as entrepreneurs, and all of the friends in between, the wisdom here is raw, real, and undeniably contagious. So get ready to be inspired by the women who've lived it, including my guest today, who is Lina Di Blasio. Hello, Lina.
Hi, Rachel.
Thank you for, and the intros are always so awkward. I'm always like, hello, da 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 da. Like, here you go. But I'm really so thankful that you agreed to come on as a guest today. I asked you because I know you I met you through Toastmasters here in New Jersey, which is another plug. I did a interview with Supriya, our other friend from Toastmasters, and silly, I said something like, oh, I think it's from the 80s, right? That the started. She's like, no, it's from like the 1920s. So I'll correct that here before we begin. But you were one of the first people that I met at Toastmasters, and I really just loved having you in that circle with us. You're one of my mentors in the group, and have helped me so much to kind of rediscover my voice as a speaker and a woman. And I guess we can kick it off like that. Like, why don't you just like tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Toastmasters and some of the work you do and all the volunteering you do?
Well, thanks for having me. I joined Toastmasters because I'd been a stay-at-home mom for years and years. My kids just left for college a year and a half ago, and before that, I felt like I had lost the ability to communicate properly with adults. And I also had been thinking about starting a health coaching business. I have an academic background, but after being at home with my kids, I decided to go and get myself a certificate in health coaching, and thought that maybe that's something I wanted to do. And I thought, well, if I need to promote my business, I need to be able to speak comfortably and
Right.
sell my business. So long story short, the health coaching, I did get the certificate, but I felt like hustling really wasn't for me, trying to get clients. But I stuck it out with Toastmasters because it really is a great venue for learning to communicate, to meet other people, and doing the volunteer work that I do. I'm very much involved in my community. I do have opportunities to speak. And so Toastmasters has helped me to just feel more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I feel like, the topic obviously here is women's empowerment and all of that. And I think that a big part of coming back out of motherhood for me, I don't know if it's the same for you, was like, you know, who am I? What am I now? What is my career at this moment? And the early 20s of being in my career at that point was just, I don't know, I was just flying off of the energy of my teenage years or something like that. And then when you sit quietly in motherhood, well, not quietly, but in motherhood, it's sort of, I don't know, I felt like I lost it a little bit. I don't know if that was your experience as well. I mean, I don't know. How about you?
Definitely. The years when I have twins, and when
Oh,
they were in
yeah.
high school, I was really worried about what I was going to do when they left home for college, which is why I went to get a health coaching certificate. And that kept me busy, and it gave me some ideas about what I could possibly do. Even though I didn't end up doing that, it did open up just different possibilities. And then I did get involved with my local garden club, and that's sort of been a life-changing uh, project for me, in the sense that it's enabled me to just really get involved in my community,
Mm-hmm.
get to know other women who have shared interests, and also to get involved at the national level, because we're associated with the Garden Club of America, which is a huge nonpartisan organization across the United States that advocates and protects the environment, and we try to improve the environment. And that's what I'm very much interested in, and that's where I spend a lot of time. Actually, that's where you'll find me at my computer in the afternoons, is just doing work for my garden club and the Garden Club of America.
Oh my gosh. I don't, and that's come up in a few other conversations here around community and connecting with other women and other, even I'm sure there's men there too, but more around people with similar interests, and finding your way to have micro actions towards something that you're passionate about, around your values and things that light you up inside. And I think that's, I don't know, that's something that maybe we feel, I think it's happening more and more, especially with social media and people finding their people maybe a little bit easier. But I don't know. I think that there's a key in there somehow. This really like connection of like, this is what I love. Do you love this too? Let's love this thing together, type of thing.
Absolutely. We have common interests, and what I find really inspiring about the garden club is that many of the women have been longtime members, and a lot of our members are in their 80s, 70s, 80s, and they are so vibrant and so spry and so involved and curious and knowledgeable, and it's just so inspiring to see older women like that who are just doing good work and still passionate about making a difference in their communities. I love that. They're just wonderful role models for me.
That, and that is our perfect segue into the first question that I've sent along to you. And I would love to hear a little bit of your experience of women that you've had in your life that empowered you, or role modeled the, maybe what you what you align with, what you don't align with. Like, what are some of the things that have really touched you throughout your journey as far as empowerment?
Well, my number one role model is my mom. She's a role model because she came from a very different background um, compared to my own upbringing.
Mhm.
She had a very challenging childhood. She grew up in poverty and she was raised by a single mother, large family, 7 kids. She had to leave school in the 7th grade because her mother needed help with the finances. So she had to go and get work. Yet she just rose above her circumstances. And in a sense, she has a little bit of a Cinderella story because when she met my dad, when she was around 18 years old, things kind of turned around for her. He came from a very different background. She came from a Native American, French Canadian background.
Oh,
Yeah, and he came from an Italian, French Canadian background, and he was middle class. His parents had a small business. They were property owners, so it's very very different, and that just changed a lot of things for her. And she just instead of being defined by her past, she just was very curious and learned and loved her mother-in-law and learned how to cook Italian food and learned how to do her own canning. And she just and she had aspirations for her own children as well. She'd be strolling down downtown Montreal with her stroller and look at McGill University and say, one day my kids are going to be there because you know what, I didn't have that opportunity, but I want to give my kids that opportunity. And so without forgetting her roots, she knew that she wanted something better for kids, and that it was possible. So just rising above her circumstances.
oh my gosh, what an amazing story. You know, the fact that she, shared that with you. Sometimes that stuff is kind of lost in the abyss of like life, and they don't, but the fact that like that was something that she was open with you about is really empowering in a lot of ways. How much about like that is, this is the story, and this is where I'm from, and it's important to know our roots
It
there
is.
too. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then also the word that like jumped out at me as you were talking was around I guess, the question some women have, like maybe in whatever phase of life, is like, how do we make a change? And how do I bring myself maybe out of trauma, or maybe just to shift in a different way? And I heard you say the word curiosity, that she had still this thing in her that allowed her to say, maybe it's possible. Like, okay, maybe I could meet this guy, and maybe I could change the trajectory for my own children. And how does that word kind of define for you a little bit of empowerment?
Well, I think when you're curious, you're open to other experiences. You're open to new people. You're you're when you're curious, I think you have to have some level of vulnerability as well,
Right.
because being curious sort of means that maybe you don't know something, but you want to learn more about it, and so you have to be honest about that, and that's one thing that I like to tell my own kids is, don't be afraid to be a beginner. You're not expected to know everything. Perfect knowledge doesn't exist, and you could have a little bit of knowledge and build on that and make connections with everything else that you know. And so that's something that I wish I'd known when I was younger because I was so afraid of making mistakes in my career when I was working. But that's what I tell my kids. Is just you're going to make mistakes. People make mistakes all the time. Just look at our politicians; they make mistakes all the
Yeah.
time.
It's
um,
like, I don't even remember that. No, that's done.
and they move on. So you don't have to be perfect. And I think that's part of curiosity.
Curiosity, vulnerability, and that, being a student again. It's all right. So this is not like completely specific to women. I know that everyone does that, but I feel like this is actually so different nowadays. They call these, as I was telling Supriya last time, these are like soft skills we're learning about, like how to be resilient and how to come out of things. But now they're learning that no, actually, these are traits of a leader. These are traits of people that are making change in this world and bringing teams together in a different style. I don't know. I'm just like pondering that with women as I discuss it. Like, do you feel like there's a shift happening a bit around what we see as um, powerful versus those soft skills?
Well, definitely, I think that soft skills are getting more attention these days and more validation. It's all about relationships. Even my husband, who spent years as an investment banker, he's the first to say it's about the relationship.
Right.
You have
Right.
to know how to connect with people in order to earn their trust.
Mm-hmm.
It's trust and relationships. And if you don't have that, you could be the smartest person in the room, but if you don't have the social skills, um, you're not going to get very far.
Right. Right. We're not in a vacuum and we need each other.
We
And I need to be
do.
checked on my crazy sometimes. Like, I need a team around
Yeah.
me to help me. Probably why
Yeah.
I love Toastmasters, kind of just being able to practice not in a mirror and being around a group or,
Yeah.
having
That
that. And
community is really important.
it is, it is. It's more, that's what I'm realizing is that if I find like some kind of hobby that sounds interesting, I'm like, I need a group to do that with. Like, I want to do this with people.
Well, it's more fun and it's
Yeah.
accountability
Yeah.
and you learn from one another.
Accountability is so true. I think that's key for us to follow those passions or those things that we have interests in. And yeah, and so the next part of this question that I usually ask is like being a little more like drilling it down a little bit. What would you say are some of the like main qualities of an empowered woman? Uh, I heard a bunch from you sharing about your mother, but were there any others that you think are just like key and important?
Well, I think self-compassion is really important.
Mm.
Um,
Why
I,
is
I
that?
learned, yeah, I think as women, we tend to be really hard on ourselves when we make mistakes or we don't succeed or we're suffering and I think being self-compassionate towards ourselves, being kind to ourselves and recognizing that when we're going through a hard time or we've we failed at something that we're not the only ones. We have a common humanity. We're millions of people fail every day. Millions of people go through hard times every day. And it's okay. It's okay to be where you are and to accept that and not over identify with it, but also not deny it either. Just be.
Mhm.
For me, having experienced several episodes of depression and anxiety throughout my life, starting as a child and through adolescence, early adulthood, and as a mature adult. That self compassion is so important because it's easy to beat. For me to beat myself on the head and say, oh, well, look at all these other people, look at all these other women who are out there doing things, and you're too anxious, you're too depressed to go out and do these things. But by being kind to myself and saying it's okay where you are, and things will get better. Just do things that make you feel good right now. So just spend time in nature. Just um, these things are going to pass, and
Mm,
it's
right.
okay. It's okay to not be okay. It sounds kind of
It's okay to not
cliche,
be okay. Yeah.
but it is true. And in the end, that has helped me more than beating myself on the head, or even when I make a mistake or say something, put my foot in my mouth, rather than just you know focusing on that, just telling myself it's okay. We all do these things. It'll pass. And just what can I do next time so I don't repeat it?
Mhm.
I think that self compassion is really important, and that's what I do. Tell my kids is to treat yourself like you would treat your own friend.
Yes, yes, that's what somebody said this to me, like, where they were sharing about, "Oh, I'm just no good at this and this," and a friend would say something like, "Stop talking about my friend like that. Stop talking about my friend like that's
I
my
love
friend you're
that.
talking about." And like, like somehow we become a bully to ourselves in so many ways. Like, just soldier through this. Just what, come on. And that's the hardest. Like, just last weekend, I was having just it was kind of it got nice on the Saturday, but during the day I was like, I had woke up, I had a really weird dream, and like I was just kind of heavy, and I'm like, oh, like this is weird. Like, I'm just definitely in that low place, like just for like a little dip happened. And the quicker I could connect with exactly that self-compassion on, like, just take it easy this morning. Like, maybe you're processing something, maybe something's coming up that's ready to be looked at or felt, or maybe you just need to go slow today. And it just was so much easier to move on from it. And when it was time, actually I needed a nap. I woke up and had breakfast, I did my things in the morning, and then I took a nap, and I was like, oh, maybe my body was tired, or just tired from whatever that was. I have no idea, but not following the story too much, just knowing, like, that's the Rachel process. Sometimes this just is the way that we go through these things. And I love what you said too, like, we all go through them, like, we're humans. Like, that's kind of healthy, I think, in some ways,
Yeah.
to be a human, not a robot
Yes.
type of thing.
Exactly.
So, I think self-compassion, I don't think that's been mentioned before. So thank you for sharing that, and thanking you for, like, bringing the realness about, like, the trials of just being a woman and being a human in life. That we're allowed to sort of be in those moments sometimes, but I love that reminder that, like, this too shall pass. This
Yes.
that's what they say. I like, well, the joke is also, even in the good times, this too shall pass.
Right. True.
Oh, well. But hey, detachment, that's a deeper Buddhist conversation. We'll go into that
Yeah.
another time. Um, well, I mean, I think, I've gotten so much from our conversation around those stories too. And if you were going to kind of looking forward, here we are in 2025. We have so many things shifting in the world today. We've had some wonderful shifts for women, some challenging things that are still out there for women. What would you say are things that you would want to pass on as far as empowerment ideas to your daughter?
Um, I would say embrace who you are, embrace your individuality. Don't let other people define you, or don't let circumstances define you. Just like my mom didn't let her childhood define who she was.
I
It
agree.
informed who she was. That's why she is a compassionate person. She is a kind person, and she was a good mother, and is a good mother.
Yeah.
But just define yourself. You can write your own story. Use your past, use your experience to inform who you are, but don't let, just like I for the longest time I did allow depression and anxiety define who I was, but not anymore. I can write my own story, and so I think that's really important.
My gosh, Lena, that's so funny because I have a sticker on I can't put it in the camera, right? I've just something my kids brought home. It says, write your own story.
Oh,
Right? It's right here, like literally right now. I love that saying because it can apply in so many different ways. So thank you. That's really beautiful. And thank you for sharing that part here. Um, Write your own story. I absorb. Maybe I'm selfishly doing this podcast for me. I'm like, thank you. Thanks, Lina.
Nothing wrong with that.
Likewise. So we've come to the part where we get to sort of pull a little intuitive oracle card deck. This is from the deck. This is from Jessica Rue. The Woodland Wardens. I'll put that down in the YouTube. I always like to kind of give credit to the artists that make these beautiful decks because they're so trendy and there's just some really special ones out there. I think I got this in upstate New York, actually. Heading
Ah, oh, I love the images.
yeah. So every card in here has an animal and a fauna, like some kind of plant. So that would be, I think, special for all of your gardening love and the work you're
Perfect.
doing in our environment. So what I'm going to do is just start shuffling the cards. And I knocked them clear, so there's no other stuff in there. And when you feel intuitively for me to stop, you just say stop, and I'll pull a
Okay.
card. Okay.
Let's stop.
It's ready. The card is ready. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is the bee and the pomegranate,
Nice. Oh,
and it's Roman numerals 26. Okay, I have to sometimes practice my Roman numerals to make sure. I'm not a big Super Bowl watcher, so I don't get to practice them very often. Okay, 26, the bee and the pomegranate. Here we go. Oh, I like this. Productivity is the theme of this card. So the bee and the pomegranate calls us to create with purpose. Bees are known for their hard work and industriousness. The phrase busy as a bee derives from Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales, written in the 14th century. Pomegranates are tough-skinned and difficult to open, but once their exterior is pierced, hundreds of seeds burst forth, signifying fertility and abundance. So this card's general meaning says that you are in a very productive phase. Take care to ensure that your labor fulfills you. Huh. Am I feeling fulfilled in my work? And if so, how do I continue that? What do you
love.
think? What do
I
you think
love
of that card?
that. Well, first of all, I love the illustration. I love botanical illustrations of all sorts. Yes, working for the Garden Club of America, albeit volunteer work,
Yeah.
is really gives me purpose. I'm so glad. I did say earlier that for me, joining the Garden Club, the local one, and then which is a member of the Garden Club of America, it's given me an entire new purpose in life. Just advocating for the environment, for native. This is Native Plant Month, by the way.
Oh, for
April.
March?
No, sorry,
Oh,
tomorrow, April
April.
1st.
April.
April 1st is Native Plant Month.
Oh, tell us about that for each area to kind of cultivate that.
Yes, well, native plants require a lot less care. They nurture our pollinators like bees,
Mhm.
and are they require very little. They require no fertilization, no pesticides, nothing. So it's just better for the environment and for people, plants and animals. So yeah, and I love learning about the environment and what I can do to protect it. So yeah,
Oh my
I
gosh. Okay, so
definitely.
I'm going to get a link for you so that we can share in the details here if anyone wants more information about Native Plant Month. I think that's a great thing to learn, especially because I'm not native of New Jersey, but I have started to see that that is kind of something they're doing more rain gardens and things
Yes,
around so that naturally the water's taken care of, the animals, the plants, the bees. So, oh, and our bees and our bee friends
and our
taken
bees.
care of. Well, thank you, Lena, so much. This was such a beautiful conversation, and I really appreciate you sharing a little snippet of your story, and I love getting to know you, and can't wait to see more speeches from you back at Toastmasters.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me, Rachel.
You're welcome. Thanks again. Bye bye.
Bye.